Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm very excited to be joined today by Stephanie Walter, who is the founder of Erbe Wealth. How are you doing, Stephanie?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on with me. I had a lot of fun talking with you offline, and I wanted to get you on today. We're going to be talking about how the very wealthy grow their money. And I believe this is a very timely topic. As everybody's seen, we're living in an area of stock market volatility. And so you have over 20 years of experience, both first as an agency owner in the insurance industry, right? And later in real estate investing. Can you tell us kind of how you got started in this world?
Yeah. I started my insurance agency about 16 years ago because I was super tired of working for the corporate world, and I think the last straw was my 2% raise I got, and just decided there had to be a better way of doing that. So I quit and started an insurance agency. I always loved real estate. I loved investing in it. I didn't really have any education. I just a lot of times went by my gut, which I'm in Denver. And so there were a lot of places where I expected that if Denver would grow, those areas would really do well. And so I bought most of my single families in between 2007 to 2009. And sure enough, Denver's just grown like gangbusters. So I did pretty well there. But I was introduced to apartment investing, and I went to a boot camp in 2016, and they told me all about the concept of syndication. I don't mind telling my age. I was 45 at the time. Had never heard of the concept of syndication, which is really just a group of people that buy a large building and that no one could do on their own. And I was sold with that. So the next couple of years, I just got all the training I could get about doing syndications. I performed my first syndication by myself in 2018. Realized I never wanted to do one by myself again. It's definitely a team sport. So I met my partner around that same time. And since then, we've worked with each other ever since. We've just finished our 11th syndication, and I sold my agency last year. I like to say I retired, but I just more or less have thrown myself into this world of syndications and really getting the word out there, because it is such a great way to invest, or at least diversify your portfolio.
Absolutely. Yeah. And people ask me about retirement, and I don't know that I'll ever fully retire. I want to be using my brain and doing things.
Yeah.
So, we've done a little bit of real estate investing, me and my family, and super fascinated by it all. And it's been really beneficial for us as well. So what do you see the very wealthy doing to grow their money?
Yeah, that was kind of when I got into this business. As I mentioned, I got a partner. He was really great at finding the properties and operating them. But the other part of this business is you need to be able to raise capital, which is what I kind of threw myself into. And by doing that, I ended up interacting with a lot of wealthy people. And I would look at their financial statements and see there were things that were different, but I just really couldn't put my finger on it till I'd been working with them for a while. But in general, I guess a general thing to say is that wealthy people invest. They look at their money differently than we do. They look at their money as a tool to work for them, to give them cash flow. So in my scenario, I had all of these rental properties, and I had a great net worth on paper, but I was working as a landlord and making, $100, $200 a month of cash flow. that's not the way the wealthy do it. They look to use their money at all times. Very few of them have 401ks, which I found quite curious. And the reason is because they want to be making decisions with their money and investing it for themselves at any time. What that means is they invest a lot in businesses. They invest in syndications, which is what I do, a real estate syndication, because these are all cash flowing things. They're very interested in investing in teams, the teams that are behind these investments, but they're very motivated by cash flow.
Right, absolutely. They're using their money to make more money.
Yes.
And they don't have to be involved in the day-to-day, every hour doing, right?
Yep, they find their team, they trust their team. And I think I saw that somewhere, I don't know, on Facebook, or someone put a quote is that the wealthy get wealthy through team. They look at it as a team process. And I was like, there's nothing, that is the truest thing I've heard. Whereas a lot of people, the myth is that the wealthy person does it alone, all by themselves. That's actually not true. Mm-hmm. The average person puts their money into an investment, whether that is their 401k or whether that's like me, my rental properties, and just have this money sitting there. That was my goal for 30 years. And then yay, I own these properties and I get the cash flow. That's same thing with a 401k. And neither of those things would be acceptable to a wealthy person, because they want their money working for them now and giving them returns now.
Right. Absolutely. Very good nuggets of knowledge right there. So what do you see as some of the biggest challenges facing investors today?
Oh, I mean, I think huge challenges is the inflation right now. I was just putting together an article, and it's, I think everybody's pretty much heard that it's at a 40-year high, 7.5%. What it has been, throughout most of my life is, 2 to 3%.
Right.
So people are trying to figure out how in the heck am I not going to lose money every year in my investments when inflation is taking, almost 8% of that money.
Right.
And so what I've heard, I listened to a lot of talk shows and all that, they talk about investing in tangible assets, what assets that, hold their value, and specifically for what I do, that would be a syndication, would be a real estate, like a multifamily apartment complex. And we buy in areas where there's projected to be a lot of growth. And then what we're seeing is rent growths right now are and they have historically kept up with inflation. Last year in our properties, we were seeing double-digit rent increases. And so that you need to find assets that are going to, give you that hedge against the inflation, which we don't really know what's going to happen with that. But, keeping your money in the bank, obviously a bad idea. The stock market, we just don't know. We don't know what what's happening, the fluctuation there, what's causing it. And so, I think most people that I've heard are very invest in gold or invest in cryptocurrency, which I personally don't understand, or, invest in property, something that, has a value to it and can have a cash flow that comes out of it. And also in businesses, we were talking about how some businesses have done really well over the last few years. There's a lot of cash flowing businesses that are doing really well right now that you could invest in and get great cash flow from.
Right. Absolutely. We live in Oklahoma City, and we were the 13th fastest growing large city, and I've seen it all around me. We built a new high school. It's expanding. It's just right near me, right? So I've seen the expansion. I see the apartment complexes coming in. They're building all over the place, honestly, between us and Norman, Oklahoma. So I see it like firsthand what's happening in an area, that's growing like that. What would you say are top 2 or 3 benefits of getting your investment strategy right?
Oh, top 2 or 3 benefits to getting your investment strategy right. I think I'm a pretty good example of it. It was hard actually to wrap my mind around changing the way that I was looking at my strategy for my investments. I think mainly having a real open mind about, changing things and the way that you're looking at money. But for me to I largely took my money that was sitting, just sitting in my rental properties, sold those properties and put them into these syndications.
Right.
And I changed my mindset from accumulation, which was what I was doing, just accumulating assets and waiting for 30 years, or taking charge of my money now and making it work for me now. And the difference between doing that is I invested all of my, money into different types of syndications, but all of that were cash flowing. And as a result of that, I was able to retire. My cash flow replaced my business income.
Okay.
And that's really, it's a mindset change more than anything that people have to, we've been sold this 401k, and I'm not, I try not to say it's, a terrible thing, but you do need to have some diversification even from your 401k. And that to me, the best, I tell people, I work with a lot of people that are landlords and they're tired and they want to put the money into syndication because they don't have to do anything. They get reports every month. They get their cash flow check every month. So that's something that they like to do. But, that is a great way to diversify, to have some assets that are cash flowing and that are in real estate, actually. And that is, real estate is not correlated with the stock market. And so to have some of your money out and in those alternative investments is very smart. And what I have seen is then when people actually change that mindset and see the cash flow coming in every month, they're like, oh, okay, I can use my money to give me cash flow to therefore give me more freedom from what I'm doing right now. And I think that's an important thing. I hope I didn't go around the question there, but
no, I don't think so. I mean, the end game, you're building wealth and you're doing it in a different way, more quickly, it sounds like to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't, quickly could be quickly, but also it's not connected to the stock market in any way. It's connected to what you were talking about, which is we invest in areas of growth, like what you're seeing, this tremendous growth. And there is, a lot of people don't know this, but there's a housing shortage, an affordable housing shortage. I won't go into all the reasons of why, but it has just been exacerbated in the last few years. And so it's a great time to look at investing in multifamily apartments, because there's just the demand for it.
Well, you want to be in an area where there's demand.
Yes, sure. That's it.
Absolutely. So, well, you've given us a lot of great insights, Stephanie. I really appreciate you coming on the show with me. What are the best ways for people to connect with you?
The best way is to get a hold of me on my website, which is www.erbewealth.com. And I'm going to be starting a podcast it's just not quite off the ground yet, but that will be the best place to go. I have a lot of articles, education on my website. That's really, the best place to get information to learn more.
Okay, very good. Well, I encourage everybody out there, reach out to Stephanie. And thanks again for coming on with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Andy.
Absolutely. My pleasure. That's going to do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for joining, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.